From the soundstage in the Wellington High School Room 99, welcome to another episode of Dialogue with the Dukes. This morning's show is being brought to you by the La Troje Mexican Restaurant, located at 116 East Herrick in downtown Wellington. As you can see by these two gentlemen sitting right here, we're going to be talking about boys basketball this morning. And one of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about before the message during the commercial, what an improvement we had this year over last year. And Sean, we'll talk with you, the senior in the class, Sean Whitehouse, and Landon Whitehouse, brother. And I believe that this is the first time we've ever had a brother act this morning on Dialogue with the Dukes. So Sean, our first question is going to be probably pretty obvious. Last year, we were 3-20 last year overall. We were 0-14 in the conference for 8th place overall. This year, we're 16-9 overall. We were 7-7 in the conference, good for 5th place. It's a question in my mind. How did we improve so much, even though, granted, we only lost 2 seniors last year, but, the team is different this year. How did we improve so much?
We only lost 1 senior, and I think the lower classmen, they really stepped up this season.
Was it a situation where there was more experience involved because of because they were there the previous year?
Yeah, there was way more experience and having the opportunity to play varsity as a freshman.
Right, exactly.
Helps you a lot.
Again, another question that I don't have, and either one of you can answer it. Are the games, are they filmed? And do you watch film of your games? And do you watch film of the other teams?
Yeah, we get film after every game. So I just after every game, I just go home, watch film.
Very good. Well, Sean, we already talked a little bit about the fact that the team chemistry didn't really change that much as far as. But this year we had 5 seniors and 7 underclassmen, and last year we only had 1 senior, as you talked about. So having that, how did the experience dynamic change for the 2 years? Was it more of a senior-laden type situation versus working with the underclassmen?
I think it's more of a senior thing because, like I said, me and Adam have been playing since 7th grade.
Is that right?
Yeah, Chase just came in this year.
Right.
So he was a really big pickup.
I'm glad you brought up Adam. This year, and I just noticed it this year, he seemed to develop more of the 3-point shot beyond the arc, than he has in previous years. Is that true?
Yeah.
And did he work more on it?
Yeah, he did. That's all he did was sit in the corner and shoot.
Is that right?
Yeah.
From the stands, I noticed that Landon in the beginning wasn't as, he wasn't moving the ball as much or as well as he was at the beginning of the season. How do you account for that? Again, talking more with him or playing more with him?
It is definitely that, but I think he gained a lot of confidence. So that's what made him open up the 3-point shot and then the driving to a layup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I noticed Landon was I hate to use the term demonstrative, but he was more engaged, I think, in trying to bring the ball up the court. Did we have a dedicated point guard this year?
It was mostly him and...
Was Landon? Yeah.
Him and Landon, right.
Yeah, and right. And also you brought the ball up a lot, and that's something a big man doesn't necessarily do. And yet I saw you bringing the ball up an awful lot too. So, well, Sean, your last question before the break. What did you take from last year that you could apply this year, especially as a senior?
I'd share the ball more, build that chemistry up in practice. So how we perform in practice is how we perform in games.
How did your assists improve this year? Did you have more assists this year, or were you more of a ball handler / shooter?
I mean, I was technically both, and then I just tried to share the ball a lot more.
Mm-hmm. What do you think was the most exciting or most rewarding experience that went on this year?
Probably playing against Lutheran East in the district finals.
Lutheran East, great team. No doubt about it. Talk a little bit about that team and how they're ranked in the state.
They were number 1 ranked in the state for D3, and then number 7 ranked in all Ohio.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and maybe you don't know the answer to this question, but how many times have they been to the district championships? Do you know over the last couple of years?
I know they're back-to-back champions.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
I thought I read that. Yeah, exactly. Well, Landon, same question. What do you think was the most exciting or most rewarding experience that you had this year?
Playing Lutheran East.
Same thing. Do you think that the experience now being an underclassman and still being an underclassman next year, do you think that experience going so far in the OHSAA playoffs, easy for me to say, do you think that bodes well for experience, or is it something that you can build on?
Yeah, it's like experience. It's just
Now, experience in as far as handling the ball or shooting, or how is it going to go into next season? For you specifically, did it teach you anything?
yeah. I mean, I got a lot of confidence out of it. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Now, explain. We already kind of talked about it a little bit, but I think your confidence got so much better as the season went on. What changed? Was it talking with your brother or working out in practices? Because, as I say, you were bringing the ball up with much more confidence and certainly a lot less turnovers at the end of the year. Would you agree with that? And if you do, how did that change?
I do agree with that. I think Coach Schmoke, he gave me the confidence too. Maybe not in the first half, but he gave me confidence in the second. Made me do a lot better in practices and in games.
This is a tough question, but does the quote on yelling by the coach, does that help you or does that hurt you? Because in my experience in sports in high school and college, I did not like a coach yelling at me. I liked a coach that was more supportive. What's it for you?
Maybe like some people need yelling at or just coddling. But it's just dependent on like the person who needs to get worked on.
I hate to say it, but I was a coddler. I liked to, build me up type thing. Yelling at me did not do any good. So, well, Sean, we had a stretch between the 26th of January and the 3rd of February where we lost 3 in a row. And we never lost 3 in a row the whole season other than that time. We lost against Columbia, Western Reserve, and Firelands. Then we turned it around and we won 3 out of the next 4. What was the difference? What changed? Was it the teams that we played, or was there something else that happened either in practice or during the games?
I think it was a quick reality check.
That's a good answer.
We did start off the season hot, so we were also a cocky team. So I think losing helped us in the long run.
That's a really good point that you brought up. We started out hot, and that's like I said, I was flabbergasted at the beginning of the year. So you think it was a reality check type situation where, okay, we got to go back to basics type situation?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Landon, what was or how did communication improve this year, if it improved, or was it the same last year? What was the difference? And explain how communication is so important between, shall we say, the seniors and the underclassmen.
I mean, it was pretty much the same.
Was it?
Communication, yeah.
Did the seniors help the underclassmen more, or was it more coach-centric or senior-centric?
The senior-centric, yeah. A lot of our seniors yelled at the freshmen, try to build them up, try to, man them up, stop being a little baby.
Well, it brings up a dynamic, Sean. Again, we didn't talk about this question, but how do you talk to the underclassmen? Is it in relation to the coach or something completely different?
It's something completely different.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a good day, sometimes it's a bad day, and then we kind of go back and forth in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Sean, talk about the trip through the playoffs, starting with the fact that we got a bye, and talk about each game if you could.
We started out with the bye, and then we got challenged with Independence. They were a solid team. They had 2 guys who hit 1,000. So kind of a size advantage there.
And I noticed that they were compared to other teams that we played, they were a lot faster.
Yeah, they were fast. But
Yeah.
we prepared for their quickness, and then
That was something that you knew going into the game. Okay, then from Independence, you went on to
Chagrin Falls.
Chagrin Falls.
Chagrin Falls. They were a tough team, but like I said, we needed a quick reality check in the first half. They did come back. We were up 17-1, and then it was 22-20. So
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I noticed during the year. We always started fast. Well, I shouldn't say always, but we often started fast. Then somehow we let them get back in the game. Why did that happen?
I think it's just because we get too comfortable in those kind of situations. And then I guess we need to just keep working.
Now, we barely beat. We beat them by 4 points, was it? Yeah, 4 points. Then we go on to the championship. Talk about playing them.
It was tough, but definitely a good learning experience for my team.
Yeah, now the final score, I believe, was 68-22. Sounds like a blowout, but really, number one, it wasn't necessarily a blowout. But number two, the team we played. Talk about them and how they are, I shouldn't say so much better, but they're awfully good.
Yeah, they were good. They're definitely going to state, winning regionals. They were a tough D3 team.
They were seeded first in the district. What were they? What are they? And what are they seeded in the state?
They're seeded 7th in the state.
So 7th in the state, and that's got to be a tough road to haul for you all. Well, Landon, we were the District 3 runner-up. I think champions in all ways, just because of the fact that I believe it's only the 5th time in 67 years that we have gone to the district championship game as a team from Wellington High School. The last year, I believe, was 2012. What does it mean to you, especially as an underclassman coming back, and what did it mean to the team? Was it a situation of being in the spotlight? What did it mean to you? What did it mean to the spectators involved, and how involved they were?
I enjoyed playing in that type of game. The fans, I think they enjoyed it. They were cheering us on, even though we were losing by 30.
But as we already talked about, Landon, I wouldn't necessarily call it a blowout, but it was a situation we were playing a team. Look at them versus Little Wellington High School. It's almost like the movie Hoosiers, where the underdog came through and won. Well, we didn't win, but we played, I thought, a really good game. And yeah, it sounded like a blowout, but it had to mean something to you. It had to mean something to the school. And in what respect? What did it mean to the school? Maybe as being the underdog.
Yeah, I think it was that being the underdog of it all, and actually getting to the district finals.
Well, Sean, we didn't really talk about this too much, but you were chosen as the LCA Player of the Year. What does it mean to you, and what does it mean as a future, you going on? Hopefully, I noticed in your senior bio that you want to go on to college. What does it mean to you being chosen as the LCA Player of the Year and going on in the future?
It feels good being the Player of the Year, but you definitely have to work for it. You can't just stroll in there.
How did the dynamic change this year? Starting with the first game and then going on and doing so well. How did it change, if it did change?
I guess new gym.
Oh yeah, well that's a very good point. Brand new gym, brand new paint job. For me, up in the when I do the girls' games up in the crow's nest up there, I can see a whole lot better up there. So and of course the other accolades are coming for you. What does it look like for going on to college? And have you looked at college? And has anybody looked at you?
I do not know that.
You don't know the answer? Yeah, well, I'm sure they are, needless to say. Well, last question to you goes to you, Landon. What is, especially doing so well this year, what's the outlook for next year? You'll be a junior, and going into who the seniors are going to be, who the underclassmen are going to be, what's the outlook look like?
Just try to do better. Since we don't have Sean, we don't have anybody to pass to when we're in trouble. So we just got to deal with everything without Sean.
Did we, for lack of a better term, did we shoot our wad this year because of the fact that we're going to lose 5 seniors, or do we have more talent coming up?
I mean, a lot of talent is, stepping up, like Connor, Bryce, but we're losing a lot of shooting.
Well, that's a very good point. It's always the next man up, right? Exactly. Well, I'm going to ask you a question, Sean, as the last question, and we didn't talk about it, but and I also often ask seniors this same question. What has participation in Wellington High School athletics taught you that you can use in later years?
It taught me to stay dedicated. If you try out a sport, you can't just give it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, we'd like to thank both Sean Whitehouse and Landon Whitehouse for coming in and talking to us about boys basketball this year, the improvement that happened between last year and this year, and the fact that we went all the way to the district championship this year, and we're playing against the #1 team in the district and 7th team in the whole state of Ohio. So thank you to both of you for coming in and talking to you about us. We'll be back again very soon with another episode of Dialogue with the Dukes.